That'll end it. 49ers beat the Titans 37-24. San Francisco has now won 4 in a row, their longest win streak of the season. They keep pace on the heels, hot on the heels of the LA Rams, who are battling it out with the Lions.
Final call there from Week 15 is the Niners going to win over the Tennessee Titans. 37-24 the final. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak with you. 808-KNBR 415-808-5627 is the number to call and the number to text. We'll get into what happened around the league today as the Seahawks came back to win against the Colts. The Rams came back to win against the Lions, and the Niners hold serve here. So that game Thursday night in Seattle between the Rams and the Seahawks, the biggest of the season in the NFC West to this point, as if the Seahawks win that game, the Niners could decide their own fate in the NFC playoff picture. Todd, a 37-24 win. Niner fans are happy about it. They cover the 12.5. They win the game by 13 points. I said they win by fewer than 13. I might be kind of miffed. I leave this game happy with the way the offense performed in general. I think really it's the best game Brock has played and the best he's looked. He looked like Brock Purdy, even though they had a 41-point game against Arizona when he first came off of the toe injury. But I was hoping for more from the defense today. 24 points is it's tied for the second most that Tennessee has scored all season. They did not score 24 in a game until week 12, where they scored 24 exactly in a loss. They scored 31 last week in a win, 24 more points today. Second half, I wouldn't say things got away from them, but the Niners do struggle to get to the quarterback. No sacks of Cam Ward. And they struggle to stop the run. Tony Pollard today, 14 carries for 104. He averaged 7.5 a carry.
And some of those yards were in the second half when the game was. You felt up in the booth. We felt like that game was pretty much in hand halfway through the third quarter. I mean, we were talking about maybe pulling McCaffrey and Brock Purdy in the fourth quarter because the 49ers were in control offensively. What we had talked about in pregame, coming out sharp offensively and defensively, which they did. They force a 3-and-out. Offense goes down and scores. It didn't look like Tennessee had answers for the 49er offense. And I loved Kyle Shanahan's game plan. He came out and moved the pocket, and he got Brock Purdy doing bootlegs and fakes and getting him much more active. And he threw some passes on the run that were really sharp. He looked – I agree with you. I think that's as good as Brock Purdy has looked all season. In command of the offense, in control, making plays happen with his arms and his legs. He had the longest run of his career.
Where he wouldn't get out of bounds. And
exactly.
he deked a throw, and a guy ran by him, and then another guy kind of ran by him thinking he was going to step out. He kind of did the Patrick Mahomes there on the sideline.
He did. Kept his feet in bounds and ended up getting about another 20 yards. So he was sharp, saw some big plays out of the offense in the passing game where he was pushing the ball down the field on those deep crossing routes. And so I think there's a lot to like from the 49ers. Yes, could they have closed it out with maybe a couple turnovers, opportunities to make some plays on the defensive side in the fourth quarter? If they could have held on to the ball a couple times, all of a sudden that game, this feels much more like a blowout, which I think it was when we were talking about.
They were up 31-17. They were up 31-10 at one point, as you pointed out, midway through the third quarter.
Yeah. And Tennessee had no answers. I mean, the 49ers were just moving the ball methodically down the field. They weren't playing with short fields. They were just moving it and driving it. And so to see Brock Purdy play like that, he was so accurate today, especially where he could put it in front of his wide receivers and they could catch and run. Ricky Pearsall with a long catch and run. Kyle Shanahan said he hit both his knee and his ankle.
The first play of the game, he went down. He caught a little pass to the left side for a few yards, and he went down with an ankle injury. He immediately jumped up and limped off, and then he chucked his helmet. We were sitting next to each other in the press box, threw his helmet on the ground, looked frustrated, and was kind of upset about how it went down. And then he walks off, goes into the blue medical tent, was in there for a while, exited the medical tent after the Niners scored, came back out and was out there for the next series. And then second to last drive, I guess the last drive of the game for the Niners, he goes down after he makes a catch and tweaked a knee on that play.
Yeah.
So Kyle doesn't think it's anything serious. They'll do some imaging or some testing on it, I guess, tomorrow, but they think it was just him aggravating the PCL.
Well, the one long catch and run he had on the in-breaking route from right to left where he caught it in stride, he doesn't look 100%. You could tell. He was not running away from anybody on the Titans. They caught him pretty quickly. So the fact that he's able to still play and perform at a pretty high level, he ended up finishing with 6 catches for 96 yards, no touchdowns, but clearly his most effective game since he's come back from injury. But to do that and not be 100%, if he can figure out a way to get healthy and then stay healthy, he could be that missing piece for the 49ers offense.
And then big props to Juwan Jennings. 2 touchdown grabs today. He had the early 4-yard touchdown grab and then had one in the second half. He's got 6 touchdowns now in his last 5 games, 7 overall on the season, which is pretty impressive. For a receiving core that was not catching touchdowns early in the year, Christian McCaffrey on the ground today, 22 carries for 73 yards. We're starting to inch our way out of the CMC 1,000 season.
His longest carry was 9 yards. They still cannot figure out how to get big plays in the run game. And I mentioned the passing game, passing plays of 38, 24, 20, and 30. So they were pushing it down the field effectively. But the run game, again, we talk about how can this team take that next step and become, they have the opportunity to potentially be the 1 seed in the NFC. I think creating big plays in the run game is a missing piece that they just haven't been able to figure out this entire season.
Is this the first time you think all year that we've truly seen the offense carry the defense? Because outside of the play where Brock fumbled, and it's tough because, I do think it was a fumble. It was by a millisecond that his hand is coming forward. He's cocking the ball back behind his head, gets hit, and he tries to push it forward. They rule it a fumble, and it's recovered by Tennessee. Outside of that fumble, the 49ers scored on every drive that they touched the ball. Touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown. That fumble where Brock is hit throwing, and then field goal to wrap it up. They got some stops, but this felt to me like the reverse of the Rams game where they were in it offensively, couldn't do enough against that defense, and couldn't get one stop. But did it feel to you like this was the first time? Because I really did not think the defense played well, even in the first half. I thought at the end of the first half, there was a lot of mistakes, some extended drives by penalty from Upton Stout, a defensive holding, and they were lucky to get out of there at a 17-10 lead instead of 17-13.
Well, it could have been. There was a wide open, Van Jefferson was wide open for a touchdown. Cam Ward, the benefits of playing a bad team. Yeah. And the Titans were a bad team. They showed it a few times today, just mistakes and unable to capitalize on opportunities, which they did throughout. It could have been a little closer. If they're playing a good team, and Tim Ryan pointed that out in the postgame, Phillip Rivers will make that throw next week. So they do have to clean some things up and be a little sharper defensively because a good team will make them pay. And certainly Tennessee did not do that today. But when you go to a game and you don't punt, it's a pretty good game offensively. You said it. They scored on every possession except one, which was the fumble, which was a close play that they reviewed. But I thought offensively they got out of the gates fast and kept it rolling throughout the game.
Did a damn good job, 4 for 6 in the red zone. They kept getting down into the short red zone and then making sure they punched it in, something they struggled with a lot last year, where they got into the red zone at a high percentage and didn't convert at an even higher percentage. Third down today, they started 7-7, did the Niners, and they went 9 for 15 overall. Only 1 third down picked up in the second half. As much as the defense, I thought, was on their heels in the second half, and it was a different, again, 31-10 at one point. 3 of 9. They started 0 for 3. They picked up only 1 third down in the second half to Tennessee.
But that's been a theme all season. 49ers were the number 3 team, I think, in the NFL, or number 2 team on third down conversion on offense, and they have another spectacular day. You said it's starting up 7 for 7. And when they can do that, that's been one of the keys for them all season. When they can get off to a good start and convert on some third downs, and all of a sudden they've run more plays in the first half, that you just feel like Kyle Shanahan, the rhythm of the offense is so much better than if they have to punt early and don't control the ball. We saw it against Tennessee and Houston and Jacksonville, where they don't get off to the good start. They don't hold the ball. They're not converting. And the whole offense feels different when they can get off to the good start, which they did today, and kept it rolling.
They had 4 drives of at least 10 plays, 12 plays, 70, and a touchdown to open the game, 14 and 50 with a field goal before the end of the first half, and then their last drive of the game, 10 plays, 43 yards, and a field goal. Brock Purdy, heck of a day for him, as I pointed out, 295 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes for Brock, and the Niners moved to 10-4. Now, the Packers lost today. We can talk more about how this is going to shake out. With the Packers losing, the 49ers stay in the 6th spot. Seattle's still in the 5. Denver beat the Packers, so they're going to drop down. They also may have lost Micah Parsons for the remainder of the year.
The early report is he tore his ACL.
And it was a non-contact injury.
Yeah, so that's obviously a huge injury for a team that we talked about in pregame is really built around their defense. The Packers have some weapons on offense, but that is a defense-first team, and without one of their best playmakers on defense, how does that change their prospects for the last 3 weeks.
Christian Watkins went down with an injury as well to his shoulder area, collarbone area. Not sure yet what the diagnosis is on that, but the Niners handled business the way they were supposed to today. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Did the defense leave you wanting in the second half? We'll talk more about this one. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak with you from Levi Stadium. The Niners moved to 10-4 after a 37-24 win over the Titans, only here on the Sports Leader.
Dropping back and didn't see anything, so just decided to step up and thought I was going to hit Christian on a scramble throw, but then I was like, you know what, I got some green grass here, so I'm going to run, and yeah, got down the sideline, and I was like, man, as I was running, I was like, I think this is my longest run. I got to keep it going. And so when I did the little ball thing in front of Cody, I shouldn't have done that. That was actually dumb, but in the moment, I was just like trying to fake him out and wanted more yards.
That's Brock Purdy, his longest run of his career today, up the left sideline, and a little taunting there at the end that he says he shouldn't have done that. Brock did run today. It was a 26-yard gain. He went 7 for 44 on the ground. The scrambling was certainly part of the Niners being successful offensively today, as Todd was just talking about the rollouts, him creating some space away from where the pocket was. I thought all day long they had their number. The Niners did offensively against the defense of the Titans. We'll make Brock Purdy today his 44 yards on the ground and his 295 through the air, plus the 3 touchdown passes. We'll make him our difference maker of the game, sponsored by Benjamin Moore Paints. Experience the Benjamin Moore retail difference at our independently owned authorized retailers today or at benjaminmoore.com. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak here with you from Levi Stadium, where the Niners won it 37-24 over the Tennessee Titans. How big of a deal is Brock's mobility in what they've been able to do? I mean, I've been crediting the offensive line in the preventing of sacks. They did allow a sack in the first half, only allowed now, I think it's 3 over the last 4 games have they allowed. That's pretty damn good. I don't know how many of those would be sacks if it were Mac Jones rather than Brock Purdy, but how much are his legs a factor, you think, in this one?
Well, it's not so much his ability to run like he did. He did a very nice job today, but it's more creating when he feels pressure or the play calling where they can move the pocket a little bit and he can make those throws on the run, which he did a few times today. Just I thought was flawless.
I thought one of the best ones was the one to Robinson up the right sideline.
Yes.
That was the end of the first quarter before they scored their second touchdown.
Yep.
He rolls right and he hits Robinson streaking to the right side. It was a great throw on the run, as you pointed out.
And he's able to put enough touch on it where it's over the linebacker, but it's right on the money, and they can catch and run. It just adds an element to the offense from a play calling standpoint. All of a sudden, you can move the pocket. It takes away a little bit of the edge of the pass rush where they don't know that he's going to be 7 yards behind the center. He can move and create, and his decision making was sharp. And then if it's open, he can get a few extra yards and create first downs and keep the offense moving. And I mean, today they start off the game 12 plays touchdown, 7 plays touchdown, 14 plays field goal, 4 plays touchdown, 15 plays touchdown.
Yeah,
that was a pretty darn good day offensively. Talk about the week off, the rest, the 2 weeks of game planning. They took advantage of it.
808 KNBR 415-808-5627, the number to call and the number to text. Did the defense leave you wanting more at the end of the game, allowing 24 points? Now, I should point out, Tennessee, I said it's their 3rd time scoring 24 this year. It took them until week 12 before they hit that high water mark. The Niners is 41, but they did that with Brock Purdy about a month and change ago. Anyway, they've played their best offensive football, I would say, have the Titans at this part of the year. Reminds me a little bit about what the Panthers did last season, kind of near the end of the year with Bryce Young coming on. But the Niners still did not get home for a sack on Cam Ward. He's been sacked 49 times this season. Let's go out to Ben. Ben was at the Niner game here at Levi Stadium. Ben, what's going on, man? You're on the Sports Leader.
Hey, Copes, how's it going?
What's up, brother?
Pardon my raspy voice here and there. I was pretty excited, but yeah, it was a great day. The sun eventually came out, I think, like late in the first half, maybe after halftime, something like that, with the ceremony for Brent Jones. The defense, I think, has a lot to work on, and of course we know that this is a group of young guys, and they eventually did get the job done, and the offense kind of carried them, but there were a few things that the defense was doing where I was just really confused. Upton Stout here and there looked like he whether to play man, zone, or play the end cut or something like that. And I think it was those things that compounded into the game being a little bit closer than, I think any of us would have liked to. But, as far as the offensive side, Brock made a lot of good decisions. And, the fact that he can run so well with his legs and just make all kinds of throws on the run is an asset that, that is absolutely invaluable. So, I'm happy with the win today. It was a good crowd. Not too many Titans fans. I mean, one of the Titans fans I was sitting next to was talking smack as if they were on their way to the playoffs and that they weren't down by that. We kind of let the result speak for itself in that respect. But yeah, I think this, I think they have an extra day to, go over some game film, try and prepare for the Colts, because obviously the Colts are a better team than the Titans. And I think, Phillip Rivers next week he's going to beat you with his mind, because he might not be able to throw the football all too terribly far, but he certainly knows where to pinpoint it, and he's been playing this game longer than some of those kids have been alive. So, yeah, great win at Levi's today. It was a great crowd. There's some stuff to work on. Wish the Seahawks and the Rams would have lost, but hey, I'm happy with it, and we just got to take it week by week here.
I appreciate the call, Ben. Thanks so much. You know what's funny is I've asked this question a couple of times now, and I put it out to the callers. Like, did the defense leave you wanting more? It left me wanting more, but I think what this has done to me, I think what I'm realizing about my thought process around this game is I'm happy they won. I expected to win. They won by the margin I expected them to win by. They allowed more points than I thought they would give up and that I hoped they would give up. And I was hoping that some of what we saw defensively against some of these bad teams in the last few weeks would come to fruition yet again today. Maybe they'd scheme something up against Cam Ward where he'd be, I don't know, Robert Saleh would have deceived him a bit more, I thought, today. The fact that they never got home, they didn't blitz a whole lot early on in the game. They showed blitz a bunch and maybe tried to confuse Ward, and he did. He threw the ball away a handful of times, but for a guy who holds it as long as he does, I really needed the Niners to get home on a sack or two in this one. I think what this game has done to me is it's shown me that my perception of what the Niners were capable of or are capable of is different. I think my expectations for this team have changed based on what's happened with teams around the league. And that I look at this game and go, yeah, they did what they were supposed to do offensively against an inferior opponent. I needed more against this team defensively because when you play teams like the Bears or like the Seahawks, you're not going to be afforded the same opportunities. And we saw that to a tune of 42 points against the Rams.
It was a lack of big plays for the 49er defense. They only had one tackle for loss. So really, they didn't push the Titans back.
It was the first half, too.
Yeah. And so I think that's where you would expect maybe them to have a more dominant performance over a bad Titans team. Get sacks, get some turnovers, just some tackles for loss. Stop them, push them back to 2nd and 13 or 3rd and long. And they didn't do any of that. Now, they didn't allow many points, certainly in the first half, a couple late touchdowns. But I think that's what you're going towards is when they start playing some better teams down the stretch, they need to create some turnovers and create some big plays because you're not going to count on the offense to score every time they touch the ball and have no punts. So it has to be a better total team win, which that's what we've seen over the last 3 weeks. It's been a total team win. Today, I think you're right. I think the offense was clearly outpacing the defense.
And it's funny because that's something I think we all anticipated was going to have to be the case for the Niners to be successful this year. That was at the start of the year. You and Tracy and I talked about it in preseason. And I would say for the first several weeks, it was the defense that held the 49ers in it. Then Brock goes down and Mac played well, but it wasn't like they were a top offensive team. The defense is still going to be a top 10 scoring defense in the NFL exiting this one. Now, they've played a lot of bottom offenses this year, which may go into some of that, but you're handling business against inferior teams. I just wonder, will this defense hold up when they play a team again? Now, the Rams are one of the most high-octane offenses in football. The Lions are a team that the Bears are a team that run the ball exceptionally well. Can you do that against this Niner D? They've proven a lot of teams have that you can run pretty effectively, and the Niners still have not run it well.
And the Niners should get some players back. Gross Matos,
Jordan Elliott, you think is going to help with that. Yeah.
So there could be some reinforcements coming on the defensive side as well, and maybe that helps get them to a more solid performance or more dominant performance or at least better up front against teams that can run the ball effectively. Because you're right. Just going through the stats, it felt like the defense played a little better. I'm looking at, it was 31-10 in the fourth quarter. Those late touchdowns kind of make it feel a little
Skew
different.
It a bit, yeah.
But there was a lack of big plays, certainly for the defensive side. That's something they have to be better at, especially if you're going to give up 24 points. They need to create some positivity and either short field or create turnovers or get to the quarterback, which they did not do today.
Let's go back out to the phone lines at 808 KMBR. Rick is in Hayward. What up, Rick? You're on the Sports Leader. What's going on, man?
Hey, Adam. I'm disappointed. I'm not impressed by the defense at all. 6.8 average on rushing yards, 20 for 136. That isn't going to cut it when you have to play the good teams like the Bears.
Agreed.
And like the Seahawks. I mean, everybody's so amped about this team right now, and it proves itself obviously today that the offense can't carry the whole load. And if 10 wins, we get 10 wins. Now, is that going to give us even a win in a playoff game? I mean, because a team we're going to go against isn't going to just lay down. Now, I got to admit, this team today, the Tennessee, which was 2-11, they played better than the last two teams the 49ers have played, like the Browns and
Carolina.
The team before that, which Carolina, yeah. But we've played substandard competition, and we're not impressing anybody at all. At least anybody that can see that the better teams are playing at their prime right now, and the 49ers just don't look like it, especially off of bye. You'd think off the bye the defense would have looked a lot better than they did, and they did not look good at all today. And I'm looking at this, and I understand they're down tons of players. It's not like if the best players were playing right now, the Niners would probably have a lot better stat line for the defense. But I mean, it just doesn't look good right now to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I appreciate the call, Rick. That's kind of where I'm at, where I go, yeah, against inferior teams, this is going to work. And you're also going to score like they did on all but one drive in this game. If you could do that against the Rams, they would have won. You know what I mean? They might have won that game. They cut it to 8 at one point against the Rams. The defense couldn't get one stop. And that was something they struggled with a bit after the first two drives of the second half for Tennessee. I would disagree in saying against the inferior teams, they only put up 26 against the Browns. It was on the road. They allowed 8. Now, against Carolina, who lost today, by the way, to the Saints, a season sweep for New Orleans. So Carolina's going to drop back a bit. Now, they'll have to beat the Bucs probably twice in the next 3 weeks if they want to go to the playoffs. It was 20-9 against Carolina. So it was 17 points allowed in 2 games, which helped their top 10 scoring average. And as you pointed out, it was at the end of the game here, the fourth quarter here, where things for the offense for Tennessee got a little bit better. But I'm with him in that I do, they're not minted, this defense whatsoever. They don't have the talent. We talked to Tim Ryan on Friday about the Niners getting better sack totals here in the final 4 games, and he didn't seem all that confident that the personnel was going to be there. Not to put words in his mouth, but it is a different looking defense than we've seen in the past. I'm impressed with what the offense did today. I don't know that they can do that at that level, like the Rams did against the Niners defense every time out. But the defense for me was not all there today, and I really wasn't happy with the fourth quarter performance in closing this out.
Man, this is a tough crowd.
I know. The expectations have changed now, Todd.
This is a 10-win team.
You got 10 wins. Yeah, right. And I'm with that. And I think the defense has achieved better than I thought they would. I think they've achieved more than I thought they would at this point. That said, unless you're playing Carolina in the first round of the playoffs and you're the 5 and they're the 4, I don't love a matchup for the Niners with the way this defense is played, with the exception of against teams like Carolina and the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, today wasn't a championship defense.
Sure.
And I think that's all of a sudden this team they're very capable of securing a number 1 seed and having a road to the championship game. If they want to get there, the defense has to play better than they did today. There's no question about it. But the offense played really well. They'll have some tests over the last 3 weeks of the season against a Colts team and Phillip Rivers, but then the Bears.
It's a good run team, too.
And Seattle.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough stretch. We'll see what they're built for. But I agree. They have to play better than they did today. Don't let the final score fool you. 13-point win. It could have been a lot more. It should have been a lot more. Overall, I'm happy with their performance, but they do have to be better on defense.
I know one guy who's happy. He covered the Niners on the teaser, -5. We'll talk to Larry Krueger. He's coming up next. He's with us here in studio. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak with you live from Levi Stadium. The Niners win at 37-24. They've got 10 wins. They're 10-4. 3 weeks left to play, and a huge tilt Thursday night. It's the Rams and the Seahawks in Seattle, and that could determine some of how this shakes out in the NFC West. We'll check in with Krug next, live from Levi Stadium. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak. Niners win at 37-24 on the Sports Leader.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just how the game sort of went. Obviously, we always want to try to get Ricky the ball. He's explosive and does a great job in man-to-man matchups and creating separation. So, obviously, every game we want to get him in those kind of situations. But just how the game went, the play calls and per coverage and stuff, like he was the guy that I was supposed to throw the ball to, and we made it happen. So, really happy for him.
That's the voice of Brock Purdy talking about getting Ricky Pearsall more involved in the offense today, and he was the leading receiver in the game. He had 7 targets, 6 catches for 96 yards, did not have a touchdown, also banged up his knee and his ankle. Kyle said he wasn't concerned this was something that was going to be lingering, but it might have been just a tweak of that PCL he was dealing with. He got hurt on the first play with the ankle and then powered through for 96 yards. George Kittle, by the way, 8 catches, 88, and a touchdown. Here to talk about it all after the Niners beat the Titans 37-24. It's Larry Krueger. What up, Krug? How you doing, man?
Doing great. Doing great. Great win for the Niners. Purdy completed 77% of his passes, and they started to use Demarcus Robinson a little bit. They started to use Pearsall a little bit, and it's a deep football team on offense. Defensively, Todd and I were just talking at the break. It's going to be a work in progress. If you think you're going to see a dominant defense at any point between now and the end of the year, think again. It's not happening. But it's going to just be about get through, and can the offense and we've seen many years where the defense had to carry and the offense had to carry the lousy special teams.
Yeah.
Now they've got a pretty good special teams unit. They've got an offense that can score 30. And those two units are going to have to carry this defense to some degree. And I asked Kyle after the game, I said, hey, man, you possessed the ball for over 37 minutes. Was this part of the plan? He's like, not necessarily. We just happened to convert on third down. We were able to stay on the field. But, guys, I mean, I think you got to think that, every game that they're in, they have to consider complimentary ball to protect that defense just because, their defense, if their defense plays 8 series, I like it a whole lot more than if it has to play 12 or 13 series.
Yeah.
Well, we were just talking about it. Adam and I were discussing how the defense wasn't impressive. They didn't make any big plays. 1 tackle for loss, no sacks, no takeaways. Maybe that has to do something with the fact that the offense was scoring. And maybe that was their approach. Play soft, force the opponent to beat you. Don't give up big plays. They'll give up some drives, but avoid the big mistake.
They didn't sell out at any point to try to get to Ward. Like early in the game, it was a lot of showing blitz and then backing off, and he looked like he was deceived a bit. But to Tom's point, they weren't aggressive, it didn't seem like.
I think Mayoko made the point to you guys in the pregame, didn't he? That I thought I heard him say, expect the 49ers. You got a lot of different things. Robert Saleh has done it all, right? Since Bosa and Warner have gone out, he's both set the record for the highest blitz rate that the 49ers have had since he's been here, and also he's had games where he's not blitzed at all. And I wasn't sure what you would see in this one, but Mayoko said to you guys, hey, you know what? Expect him to rush 4 or 3, drop 7 or 8 into coverage, and make kind of Cam Ward see the field, make him, know where he wants to go, and make him be accurate. I think that was the right plan. I think that probably was the plan. They didn't blitz him a lot. I don't know what the blitz totals were, but they didn't send a lot of pressure. And I'll give Cam credit, man. That ball that he ripped to Gunnar Helm against the zone for the touchdown, the 34-yard, that was a big boy throw. That was a major league throw against zone. He found the void, and he shot it in there. So, as they say, those guys get paid too. So it was a good win, though, for the 49ers. And more importantly, Brock Purdy is 4-0 since coming back. He doesn't show any ill effects of the turf toe. He's playing. It's almost as if the turf toe is not a topic, the way he discusses the game, which is great. And so you get a healthy Brock Purdy, a really good special teams unit. You have Christian, you have Trent, you have Kittle. Yeah, your offense may have to carry you a little bit, but I think it might be capable of doing it.
I think what we had seen the last few weeks, and maybe why there is some disappointment over the defensive play today, is even when they weren't pressuring, they were winning up front. The front 4, when they were only rushing 4, they were still finding a way to get to the quarterback, and today they did not. So that'll be something to watch over this last month of the season, because when you sell out, you expose your defensive backs to one-on-one coverage. When you only rush 4, if you can still win, that is a game changer for a defensive unit.
The back they went against today, Pollard, had 161 yards, his career high a week ago. So, the Titans rolled into this game at full peak performance running wise, and they got a few runs, and they had a few yards, but overall, I think, the 49ers, this game was never really in doubt. The Purdy turnover in the second half, which I think was kind of dubious anyway. Wasn't sure if that was a fumble. It looked to me almost like I've seen lesser hands going forward where they say, oh, man, no, he was moving. He was throwing that. This one, they happened to call a fumble, and they stayed with it after the challenge. But that kind of pried the door open a little bit. But, man, I think I was talking to DeMarcus Robinson in the locker room after the game, and he kind of had his first kind of wake-up moment. And I said to him, hey, man, this team's not using you the way you're best. You're really good on these rub routes and these pick plays and these red zone goal line type plays. And before it's all said and done, I think he's going to be a major contributor there. And he looked at me and he said, you know what, you're totally right. That's what I'm best at, and we haven't necessarily done it yet. But you know what? He goes, there's a lot of guys in the room. Today it was Ricky's day, and my day's coming. And, they're pretty deep. It's an abundance of virtues.
Don't agitate the locker room. What are you doing? Hey, the team's not using you the right way. You want to create a stink.
What's going on, man? Shanahan doing you wrong. You better rise up.
He said, dude, I brought you a ladle if you'd like to stir the pot here. Larry Krueger with us here. Niners win at 37-24 over the Tennessee Titans. Is this the best Brock has looked to you, all season? I think it's the most Brock he's looked like since week one even.
Well, this year in training camp was easily the best Brock that I saw. And that's why the toe thing was so frustrating early, because you're like, oh, my goodness, no way. This guy looked amazing in training camp. Complete better arm strength, better knowledge of the offense, making all the right decisions, in total lockstep with Kittle, but also developing a rapport with Robinson, with Watkins, with Cowing and these guys. So I really think the Niners have a lot more. There's more bullets in this gun than people think. This offense has got a lot more to get to, and I think they're capable of carrying the rest of the team through. So we're going to find out. It gets a lot tougher now, right? You get a Colts team that can run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. Yep. You get a Bears team with their crazy offensive line and their two-headed back that they can run it. You got Seattle playing well. Then it's the playoffs. So it's all there. But there is a quiet confidence, and I asked Kittle about it in the postgame. Like, you guys have won 4 in a row. Do you sense the momentum in the room? And he's like, yeah, I do. So, a lot of these guys have been there, and they've tasted it. They've gotten really, really, really close. And, yeah, we've all kind of written them off, and that makes them a very dangerous team.
I think one of the things that, as we've watched them over the last month, win 4 games in a row, their best is still out there. I don't think they've played that. They haven't peaked. Like, I would say the Buccaneers peaked against the 49ers early in the season, and there's been teams that have played really well at times. I still think there's a lot left in the tank for the 49ers to do offense, defense, special teams, put it all together. And you said it. They can be a dangerous team. If they can create some turnovers and get the ball back for their offense, that all of a sudden today we saw it a little bit more. The deep passing game. They're changing field position in 1 or 2 plays as opposed to chipping away. They haven't busted out the big plays in the run game yet. There's still potential for this team to play at a higher level. They're going to have to, I think, over the last 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Talking to Larry Krueger, nice to
playoffs.
join us following the Niners beating the Tennessee Titans. In terms of the run game, I know we're talking about stopping the run for the opposition. Is there any concern still that they're not? McCaffrey in first halves of games this year has not run the ball well. We're inching out of that 1,000 mark. I think that he was trending towards only 1 catch today. But is the inability to run the ball as effectively as they have a problem for you? And sort of the same question on the side of the O-line, like, they're protecting Brock well, and part of that's with his legs, I think, too, is that he's creating space to make open throws, but they're not opening run lanes, and they haven't all season.
Yeah, and Brock's looking at a lot of 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Go back and look at your box score, and, my recollection of the game, because, we're sitting there, I'm charting the whole thing, was that McCaffrey probably had over 5 carries where he got 2 yards or less.
Yeah.
Maybe more like 6 or 7. So, yeah, it's a concern. It's a concern. They're not running it efficiently. They're not necessarily opening run lanes with any consistency. Now, McCaffrey's yards per carry numbers are a little bit worse than Robinson. So is it on him? I don't know. I will say this. I do like the idea of using McCaffrey less between the tackles as a runner and more running him through the line of scrimmage and then giving him the option route and hitting him on it, because you're just going to save so much abuse on his body. I asked him how he feels, and he's a tough guy, so he's just going to be like, I feel fine. But, it's a long year, and he's taken a lot of hits. And to me, the Niners, whatever chance the Niners have to win it all this year, they got to show up in the playoffs with a healthy Christian McCaffrey. So, and then I think they're going to really need him in huge doses against the Bears and maybe even against the Seahawks. So I was kind of hoping they wouldn't utilize him. I was hoping they'd sit him today, to be honest. They didn't. He still got over 20 touches. But, hopefully most of those touches did not come between the tackles and he's feeling okay. But, preserving him is very much in their interest.
Yeah, 22 carries, only one catch today.
Yeah.
So they did not throw it to him. And I think that was evident early on. We talked about getting the receivers more involved. They came right out of the gates, targeting Ricky Pearsall on the first play, getting it to Juwan Jennings. We even saw Kendrick Bourne, Marcus Robinson make some more plays. This was, I think, as a group, maybe the best game for the wide receivers.
Spread it around a little bit, yeah.
And George Kittle had
88 more receiving yards for George Kittle. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak, Larry Krueger with you. The Niners moved to 10-4. So how you feeling about the way this thing is going to shake out, Krueger? I mean, 3 more games here. Seattle and the Rams is a huge one on Thursday night. I mean, that game in and of itself could determine who holds the cards in streaking towards a division crown. If Seattle wins that game, they feel like a win out for them means that they're division champions in the number 1 seed.
I mean, I feel good. I feel like the 49ers can get any seed, but most importantly, the other thing that was on the table is they could miss out altogether. And winning today ups their playoff odds or probability to over 90%.
Yep.
For every win they get, they're that much closer to the playoffs. I don't want to say the seed doesn't matter, but you know what? You telling me the 49ers can't go to Green Bay and win? I think they can. You telling me they can't go to Philly and win? I think they can. I don't want to play the Rams. If you can avoid them, especially, obviously you're going to have to play them in LA. But I don't, outside of the Rams, who are really a tough team, very great, Hall of Fame quarterback, great defensive line. They're the best team in the NFL as far as penalties are concerned. They're a team that I think the Niners would almost have to get a little lucky to beat. Every other team, though, in the conference, I think the 49ers can beat them here, and they can beat them on the road. So I think it's more than anything, play good ball, try to get as healthy as you can, and see if you can peak going to the playoffs. And then don't worry about who you're playing and where you're playing them, because I would guess most of these teams, would rather not play you more than you would rather not play them. The 49ers are a team that have been to the Super Bowl. Shanahan's been to the Super Bowl and lost it. Purdy has as well. When you've been to the Super Bowl and lost it, you're not quaking in your boots because you have to go to Soldier Field. You're just not. So that's the advantage the Niners have. Is it a vintage awesome Niner team? No. But you know what? They won the Super Bowl in 1988 with a 10-win football team that was not the best team in football. But what were they? They were the hottest team in the league down the stretch. And the Niners, if the Niners can run the table here, that means that Purdy would have gone 7-0 getting healthy. And that's a lot of momentum. That is a lot of momentum. So I think they're capable of doing it. I don't know that it's going to happen, but I think they're capable.
I'm with you. I think the 2 best teams in the NFC are the Rams and the Seahawks. Yeah. I think that's the toughest matchups for the 49ers going into the playoffs, and they still have the Seahawks left on the schedule. I'm with you. I don't think there's another team that necessarily scares the 49ers or should scare the 49ers, because they've shown the ability. They can play with anybody.
And I've no disrespect to the Rams or Seahawks, but the Niners have won already this year in LA and in Seattle.
Yep.
So there'll be no we can't do this. You won in LA with your backup quarterback. There's no doubt the 49ers, if they get that opportunity again, I'm not saying they're going to be favored or that they should be cocky. But if they get that opportunity again, the one thing I feel for sure about this Niner team, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I just think that there's zero opportunity that they're not going to fire. They may get beat. Somebody may be better than them in this run, but they're not going to get into the playoffs and be like, they got run. No, they're not going to get run. They're not going to get run. They're going to fight both, offense, defense, special teams. They're going to be in whatever game they're in. They may lose, but they're not getting their doors blown off. I'm really confident of that.
As I look through the NFC teams, and how would you characterize a team? Like, all right, the Bears are a dangerous offense, but inexperienced. I look at the Niners are just a solid football team.
And they don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't turn it over a ton. They're not throwing tons of picks this year. They don't commit penalties at one of the lowest rates in the league. So they're not giving away free yards. They get off the field on third down at a pretty damn good rate. They extend their drives offensively. To me, the identity is just that they're a pretty buttoned-up team. If you were a sloppy team, in addition to having the injuries they have, you're looking at like 7 wins right now. But because they're buttoned up, and to your point, Krug, in all phases of the game, even if they get beat, it's not because it's because they got out-schemed or they didn't make the right play. It's not because they weren't firing, to your point.
I think this is the best top-to-bottom coaching staff since Shanahan and Lynch have been here. I think you got a hungry Shanahan, right, who's been, he believe me, Shanahan's smart. He understands. He knows that he's the best coach in football that doesn't have a ring, and it's gnawing at him.
And better than some that do.
He wants
Seriously.
Lynch. Lynch has got money in the bank. He's a Hall of Famer. He could be a celebrity in 17 different fields. He's all about this Super Bowl. So he's all about it. Kyle's all about it. Saleh, I think, is in a great spot. Brant Boyer is the best special teams coach they've had. So I really think coaching-wise, they have the best coaching staff left in the playoffs, of the teams that look like they're headed to the playoffs. I think they got the best coaching staff. And I think they're hungry. And they got a quarterback who is he perfect? No, but you know what he is? He's a hell of a competitor. And he made a couple plays today where I was just like, wow, man. His offensive line gave him some time, and he just stuck it right on the guy's hands. The Niners have 2 quarterbacks that have to be among the NFL's more accurate throwers. I mean, Jones is really a dime thrower, and Purdy is as well. So they're in a good spot. They got a shot to win all these games. They got a shot to run the table. They don't have to run the table, but I think if you said, who's got more momentum, the Niners or the Eagles? The Niners. The Niners or the Bucks? The Niners. The Niners or the Panthers? The Niners. The Niners or the Packers? The Niners. There's very few teams that have more momentum in the NFC. Maybe the Rams, maybe the Bears if the Bears get rolling. But I'll say this about the Bears. I looked at the Bears game log. In like 8 of their last 9 games, the Bears have allowed 5 yards per carry to opposing running backs. So the Bears can run it at you, and they got a great offensive line, 2 good backs. But guess what? You can run it back at them, and I think the 49ers are going to.
Larry Krueger, the voice you hear weeknight 6 to 7, Niners Nightly, right here on the Sports Leader, plus the Krug Show, wherever it is that you stream your Krug. Krug, have a great show tonight, man, and we'll talk to you this week.
Sounds good, guys. Good to see you guys.
All right, Adam Copeland, Todd Husak with you live from Levi Stadium. The Niners win at 37-24. Brock looked as good as he's looked all season long. 295 through the air, 3 passing touchdowns, 77% completion percentage. And we should note that as sharp as Brock was today, he's completed over 70% of his passes now in 3 of the 4 games since his return from the turf toe injury. I mean, that's as good as you could ask for. And to Krug's point, made some really nice throws on the run, even a jump throw. I don't know what he was doing on that throw to Kittle in the back of the end zone. The offense had this thing all but put away midway through the third quarter after their 2 opening drives that led to touchdowns in the second half. Defense did give up a couple of scores, but the Niners still cover it. 37-24. 808 KMBR 415-808-5627 is the number to call and the number to text. How have your expectations for the 49ers changed now that they're 10-4 and they've got this weird juxtaposition where special teams is good, offense is really good, defense leaves some to be wanted? We'll talk more about this one from Levi Stadium only here on the Sports Leader.
injuries from the game. Jordan Elliott hurt his knee before the game, never played. Chase Lucas had a stinger on the first play, returned. Ricky had his ankle and knee, didn't come back there at the end, came back after the ankle. Spencer Burford, ankle, returned.
That's Kyle Shanahan there after the Niners beat the Titans 37-24 with the injury report sponsored by Habas Law. They'll fight to make it right. Visit habaslaw.com. Ricky Pearsall, I think the one that would elicit the most concern after the game when asked more about it. Kyle Shanahan said he thinks he might have tweaked it on that play where he went down to his knees, made a really nice catch, where Brock, again, on the run, made a great throw, avoiding pressure there. He makes the catch for a first down. I want to say it was a 3rd and 11 or something at that point, and they picked that up. So it's a great catch there by Ricky. His best game since he's returned from injury, went over 95 yards receiving on the day. But Kyle said they're going to do more imaging and tests on it, but they don't believe it to be serious. I think it was just a tweak of the PCL. So fingers crossed they may have gotten out of this one with anything severe as they get ready, get a little bit longer of a week now. Monday night game next week against the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. So they ended up losing today in Phillip Rivers' debut with them. There was a note Tim said that they put up on like NFL Red Zone that said first start in 1,800 days or something like that, which is a hilarious way to look at that for Phillip Rivers. He did throw a touchdown in that game, but they lost on a field goal at the end there by Jason Myers. So the Niners getting ready for the Colts next week. In terms of the way the Niners played today, Ricky Pearsall being more involved. I mean, that was something that Krug pointed out before the game. Didn't look nearly, and I won't say nearly, didn't look 100%. But he did have a couple of really nice plays and some nice runs after catch. Something explosive we hadn't seen. I think it was 5 explosives today for the Niners. The only one on the ground came on that Brock Purdy 26-yard run.
I think what I appreciate from Kyle Shanahan and what they're able to do is they clearly came out with a plan to get Ricky Pearsall the ball. Yeah. And it's not forced. Like there were a couple plays where I thought Purdy could have maybe checked it down or gone underneath, but he pushed the ball out to Pearsall and it was complete. So it was a good decision, but they have plans coming into the game on how they're going to distribute the ball, and obviously don't force things or don't make bad decisions, but they got it to him early and often. Even with the injury, he came back and had his best day of the season, and I think that shows you that they can, the way they kind of plan and prepare and scheme to attack teams, they can pick and choose who they want to get involved. It's been a lot of Christian McCaffrey, but George Kittle had a big day today, and they were able to isolate him and get him in space. I thought he was awesome after the catch today.
Great.
He was
short crossing patterns, some right over the middle. Yeah.
Breaking tackles. He ran hard today. But Shanahan can just decide what to do. It's fascinating to see how he plans. All right, today we're going to get it to Pearsall. And it was effective. And they were obviously super successful. They didn't punt, and they scored in their first 4 possessions. And just the way they approached this game offensively, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I asked Kyle about that one time. You know how they script? I think he scripts 24 plays or something is the way he does it to start a game. And I asked him that, like, do you ever? It was last season. I remember when it was. It was right before that Thursday night game, Rams and Niners here, when the Niners ended up losing it like 12-6 or something like that was, I think, the final last year. In the rain, Debo dropped what would have been a go-ahead touchdown in the red zone. And before that game was when Debo had kind of been mouthy about not getting the ball, and he'd had a lot of drops. And I asked Kyle if he ever makes an effort to get the ball in the hands of certain players. And he said, certainly. Like, if you've got a team where you think Debo's going to be a good matchup, they do try to get the ball in his hands early. Now, he says, we may have what he does is he'll script 24 plays, 12 are run, 12 are pass. So he knows he's going run pass at some point, 50% in the first 24 plays, and then you go off of that based on the way the game unfolds, and also, how long it takes you to get through those plays. But he did say, we do try to get the ball into certain guys' hands early. I think they'd made an effort to do that early in the game today with Pearsall. They did it with Kittle, because right after Pearsall caught the opening play, they hit Kittle for a long gain, and then they hurried up on like the 4th play of the game. So there was definitely an effort to say, get them on their heels, let's get guys into space and try to make something happen. I'm with you. I think that they made an effort to do that today. Certainly in the red zone, they try to get it to Juwan Jennings. I mean, he's a big body down there, 2 more catches for him. But when you're throwing from the 4, those are the types of targets you got to hit.
Yeah, and I like the hurry-up nature, especially against a team that's reeling a little bit in Tennessee.
So did I, yeah.
You said it.
Put
Get
them on
their
their
heels, create some big plays, snap the ball right away. And I thought the execution for the 49ers was sharp early on. They could have done that, I think, more and more. They obviously slowed down in the second half to try to grind the clock out a little bit more, but a really good offensive game plan, really good execution early. We talked about 49ers needing to get off to a quick start, and they did that. And going back to your plays and getting the ball in the hands of different players, we had a call sheet in college, and we had Troy Walters and Durrani Pitts and Dave Davis, our top 3 receivers, and our offensive coordinator, Bill Diedrich, had number 5, number 81, number 2. If they hadn't caught a pass in 2 or 3 series, he made a point to call a play that would get them the ball. So it's certainly top of mind for play callers and for offensive systems. Get it in the hands of your playmakers. And today they established that because we talked about it in pregame, the lack of big plays from the wide receiver position has been a problem. And they created some early in the game. So they're putting stuff on tape, I think, to hopefully show teams, hey, we can do this, and we can also counterpunch off it as well.
It's funny, you can circle a lot of things the Niners as a team haven't done well statistically this year. I want to say they went like 4 weeks or 5 weeks without a without a receiving touchdown?
Well, Christian McCaffrey didn't have one, I think, until
he didn't have a rushing touchdown for a long time.
Yes, correct.
It was until, 3 weeks ago that they didn't have a 20-yard run on the ground. They only have 2 on the season. You pointed this out to me during the last commercial break, and I just looked at it. Brock Purdy's 26-yard scamper today, the longest of his career, is also the longest rush of the season for the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey's long is 20. Brian Robinson's long is 19. They have 2 runs on the year of over 20 yards. It's perplexing. They don't run the ball well. They don't stop the run. They don't get to the quarterback. They're 10-4. Now, some of that would be indicative of the opponents they've played, and that this team's identity is that, as Krueger said, they find ways to win. You're not gonna get out schemed, and the fact that they're as buttoned up and as clean as they play in terms of lack of turnovers or penalties tells me that their identity is being one of the best coached teams in football.
They're solid.
Yeah.
You can't make mistakes against the 49ers. You have to play well. And frankly, there's not a lot of really good teams in the NFL that they have played that can sustain those long drives or can rip off big plays against 49ers. So they basically force the other team to beat them. Now, the games they've lost, Jacksonville played really well. Tampa Bay played really well. The Rams played really well. So that's the game plan. You got to play your best against the 49ers or you're going to lose.
Yeah, you will, because they'll out-scheme you. They're going to find ways to win. And that's I think, the most intriguing part about this team is I'm confident a lot of these weeks because I don't know how they're going to do it. Today's the day that I had circled, when the schedule came out, thinking this was going to be a victory for the Niners. I didn't know what the weight of this game would be in the grand scheme of it. It's nice to get this coming out of the bye week against a team that had the number 1 overall pick and a rookie quarterback. There are just things that you'd like to see the defense improve on as the season goes on. You want to play your best football in December and January. And I think they were playing really good defensively against some inferior offenses in the last 2 games they played coming into this one. I did think maybe they took their pedal off the gas a little in the second half and in the fourth quarter. But to your point, maybe that fell into the game plan there because they weren't blitzing a lot. They didn't show them a bunch of the same looks that Robert Saleh has shown them. And I think in doing that, you protect yourself on the back end, right? You don't leave it open for a guy like Cam Ward to throw a deep ball like he did a couple of times today and hit guys open because you brought corners in on some blitz packages. But an impressive win for the offense. Again, only 1 drive today did the offense for the 49ers not result in points. And that was the 6th drive of the game, their 3rd of the second half. It was that Brock Purdy fumble on the hit where he gets hit from behind. And if he doesn't pick up a first down there anyway, they're punting it away. So that play did result in a touchdown on the other end for Tennessee. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak with you. The Niners are 10-4, over a 90% chance now to make the playoffs, and they could still end up anywhere from number 1, 2 to 5, 6, or 7 potentially. It would take a lot now to knock them out of this. They'd have to lose out, and somebody else would need some help, especially after the Lions fell today to the Rams. We'll talk more about this one. John Dickinson going to join us momentarily here from Levi Stadium. 37-24, the Niners cover it on the Sports Leader.
out of the shotgun. Here's Purdy, takes the snap, flushed out right, throws. Jennings, front of the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown, 49ers! Jennings broke across, a big spike for his second of the game.
Heck of a catch there by Juwan Jennings, his second touchdown grab of the day. He also scored on the Niners' opening drive of the game, a 4-yard touchdown reception for Juwan Jennings. Niners throw it twice in the red zone there, and they get the job done. They score on all 4 times that they get to the red zone this afternoon in a 37-24 win over one of the worst teams in football, the Tennessee Titans. By the way, I should point out for Juwan Jennings, that touchdown early in the game was his 5th touchdown in his last, I think it was his 4th in his last 5 games. I'm going to get it for you here exactly. And I believe after that second one, it was his 6th in his last 5 games. So he's got, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 6 touchdowns now in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. How about that? Pretty damn good run there.
Only 3 catches today, but 2 of them end up in the end zone.
He's got 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games since Brock Purdy's return. Clearly a bit of chemistry there with Juwan.
They're clicking. And that's what they need. They need big plays out of the wide receiver position to take some of that pressure off the run game and also open up both McCaffrey in the passing game and Kittle in the passing game. And Kittle, we saw it, one-on-one coverage. You can't stop him in that situation. When he is one-on-one or in the open field, he is tough to bring down. And he provided some energy and some big plays for the passing game.
We'll make Juwan Jennings our player of the game, sponsored by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly. As they've wrapped up Week 15, have the 49ers, and there's a game underway, Minnesota at the Cowboys right now, and then you've got one more tomorrow night, Miami and Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. I think the Steelers are feeling good about that one, considering the weather and how infrequently Miami wins in cold weather. I have to see who the last coach was the last time they did that, like 20 years ago. But a thought from you on how this week went down. Are there teams you feel differently about in terms of a matchup with the Niners? Are there teams you feel good about? Like we said before the game today, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was JD or maybe it was Krug before the game. Actually, was making a case that the Lions might in fact be the biggest threat in terms of a team you don't want to see. You were saying that as well. It's going to be tough for the Lions to get in now. The Niners would not see them until late in the postseason if in fact they end up, both of them, a wild card team. But how do you look at the powers that be in the NFC and where the Niners match up? Because everybody's got deficiencies. It's just, can you mask it for a long enough time to get yourself a win?
Yeah, I think the Lions would be dangerous just because of their offensive firepower. But to your point, they lost today, so they are 8-6,
Yep.
3rd place in the NFC North. The Bears are not scary. The Packers, without Micah Parsons, are
lose a lot there. Yeah.
not as scary. The Eagles are kind of a train wreck right now. They've derailed. I don't think they should be scared of them. And then the NFC South, you got Tampa Bay and Carolina sitting atop the division at 7-7, and both have pretty significant point differentials in the season. Like that, it's a different Buccaneers team that handled 49ers early in the season. So I still think that the 3 best teams in the NFC are probably all in the NFC West right now. And not to take anything away from the Bears, good for them that they're atop of the division, but we'll see. We'll see them in 2 weeks, and I still don't buy them. I don't think they're as good. I think Caleb Williams is prone to make mistakes. New head coach, they're talented, and they're starting to believe. You can tell they're starting to believe in themselves a little bit and making more big plays on offense. But I'm still not buying them.
Yeah. For me, it's about, you got to see it for a season, right? It was like even after Brock played that part of a year in 2022 when they lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship, Tom and I were doing the show together. I remember Tom said, I got to give it like 7 weeks of the next season. I want to see this carry over. You know, you don't want to see a guy have one good year and then say, okay, everybody's got an offseason of tape on him now. They've gotten to look at this. Can he bounce back? The guy finished with MVP votes in the 2023 season, right? So he proved even earlier, I think, than week 7 of 2023 that he was in fact legit. For a team like the Bears with a new head coach, a second-year quarterback, and a guy who held the ball and was not very good last year, though a very good offensive line, I'm with you. They haven't minted themselves yet. They haven't proved themselves contenders yet. If iron sharpens iron, just because the Niners don't play in the NFC North yet, they play against Seattle and the Rams, and they've got wins against both of them. I'm not sure why people don't view them at the same level, except that they've lost some of their top players. I want to ask you more about that when JD joins us when we come on back. Is it better for the Niners, and I would imagine it is, that they've had a number of games without Fred Warner and without Nick Bosa? The Packers are now going to look to make a playoff run, losing Micah Parsons, likely for the remainder of this season. And they haven't played without him for the entirety of this year, right? They've had him. So we'll talk more about that loss, that if you're going to lose guys and then go on a run, maybe better that it happens early so you don't feel like you're trying to play catch-up after he goes down week 15.
When saw it early in the season when Brock Purdy goes down. Mac Jones says, I'm okay playing right now. If a quarterback gets hurt, you almost want it early in the season because the backup has played in the preseason, has gotten those reps. It's a lot harder to come in week 14 and play when you haven't done it for 3 months.
Adam Copeland, Todd Husak with you live from Levi Stadium. The Niners win at 37-24. John Dickinson going to join us breaking this one down next, only here on The Sports Leader.
Hey, you got any extra Toyotas laying around by any chance?
I got to connect, so.
I just thought I'd ask. Why not?
Yeah, I know. A bunch of guys, man, they're like, oh, dude, it's Christmas time. Last year you got the O-line cards. Like, what are you doing this year? So all the D-line are asking me and stuff. So we got a little something, going on for the community this year. So it was really good.
As Brock Purdy on the postgame wrap there as the Niners win at 37-24. And he had a heck of a day, did Brock Purdy, completing 77% of his passes. Also, 295, 3 touchdowns. He also had the longest run of his career, a 26-yard scamper up the left sideline. Ran 7 times for 44 yards, used his legs today. And as Todd pointed out to me, and John Dickinson joins us here at Levi Stadium, JD, that was the longest rush of the season for the 49ers. They're 10-4. They only have 2 runs over 20 yards on the year. Didn't have a McCaffrey rushing touchdown until like week 6. Didn't have a receiver with a receiving touchdown for many weeks. They're last in the league in sacks, and yet they're a 90% chance to make the playoffs. If you can do all that with those deficiencies, you're as dangerous as anybody. JD, how'd you see this one go down, man?
Yeah, a great day for the offense. I thought
Agreed.
in really setting the tone early on. I mean, you go down touchdown your first two possessions. You jump out 14-3. The defense a little bit shaky at times, and that's been the case. They've looked a little vulnerable, especially against the run and in the play action game off the run. I think they've looked a little vulnerable at times, but they went on third down today, which I know something we talk about every week.
One third down converted by the Titans in the second half. So as much as the defense gave up points in the second half, they allowed one third down conversion. And
the Niners were converting everything on third down. I think their first 7 of the game were converted. So the Niners jumped out. I think good day for the offense. I know George Kittle said after the game at the podium that, hey, everybody knows, no disrespect to the Titans, you're going to play some better teams here coming up, and the offense is going to have to continue to do what they did today because everybody knows the reality of the situation. Defense doing the best they can. They force some turnovers when they can. They win on third down, but the talent just isn't there like it is on the offense. They're being coached very well, and so the onus, Todd, is going to continue to be here as they go to Indy and then come back for the games against the Bears and Seahawks to get it done with the offense setting the tone.
They do the little things well, right? Copes, as you talk about it, like, all right, they don't have the big plays, and but third down conversions, and they don't make mistakes. They don't turn it over. They're just a solid football team. And if they can start to expand their offense and get some big plays, and all of a sudden they're really dangerous, but man, they've just been solid all season and doing it with backups on both sides of the ball, really. And so to see them in this position with 10 wins and a chance to still secure the number 1 seed with some pretty devastating injuries, those were tough. That was a tough first month of the season. All the injury news coming out with players not just going down for a couple weeks, but for the season. To battle back and to be this solid of a football team, I think the coaching staff deserves a ton of credit.
I think it's important, at least for me, JD, that a guy like Tatum Bethune is back sooner rather than later. I think for everybody it is. I mean, I know he's a 7th rounder, but he had a nose for the ball, and he clearly understood what his role was on defense while he was out there. I mean, he led the team in tackles a couple of weeks, filling in for Fred Warner before he went down, to the point where I felt like it was a loss, and I think that it's been noticeable that there was a loss since the time that Bethune went down. But we were talking about the injury to Micah Parsons and saying the 49ers are better equipped to weather a storm of injury like that because they've been doing it since Nick Bosa went down week 3 and then again when Fred Warner went down week 6, whereas the Packers have to try to scramble to patch this thing together here in the next couple of weeks.
I also think it was something Trent Williams said in the locker room post-game that when Nick went down and then Fred goes down, that it took him some time, and it can take a team some time to almost, and the word he used was mourn. And you've been in locker rooms when stuff like that goes down, Todd. I mean, it takes every team's different, but it takes maybe a week or a couple of weeks or however long to kind of, this is the team now, and this is the way we have to get things done now. When it's somebody of that level, when you talk about a couple of guys that probably are going to be future Hall of Famers, Warner for sure. So, I mean, you look at that, and so I think the Niners have adjusted to that, and now the Packers and maybe some other teams throughout the league are going to have to adjust to it as well. One quick thing on just, I thought in the running game they missed Jordan Elliott today. He came up with a knee. I know we were talking about that right as the game ended. And then for Bethune, to me it's the difference between you lose Fred Warner, there's a drop. The drop between Bethune and Curtis Robinson, or from second to third, I think is a much more significant drop. So getting him back off of the ankle sprain, I think will be key, because the one thing, I mean, the Colts hung in today up in Seattle, and Rivers did some things, but Indy's going to try to run it. I think teams look at areas in which they can attack the 49ers, and every team, varying degrees of success with it. A lot of even teams that the Niners have won against have been able to run it. Today's a perfect example. So I think these 3 teams that they're going to face are really going to try to hammer the 49ers defense and run the football.
Yeah, Tatum Bethune coming back. We haven't seen D. Winters have as much of an impact the last 3 or 4 weeks.
He made a tackle today, and I tapped you, and I said, boy, I haven't seen him in a while.
No,
right?
and early in the season, he was playing full speed
Hair
all
on
the
fire.
time.
It was
Sideline to sideline. He stood out as a player that is a difference maker. We haven't seen that level of D. Winters the last month. So maybe getting Tatum Bethune back where he can focus more on, D. Winters can focus more on his position and start to make some of those negative plays for the opposition, where it's tackles for loss. He's getting in the backfield. He's disrupting the passing game. I'd expect his play to pick back up with Tatum Bethune coming back as well.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And so, now you look at some, and it was a great slate of late games today, probably the best slate of late games going. We're here, we're watching the 49ers go at it against the Titans and get the job done. Seattle was able to eke that game out against Indy, so the Niners don't end up gaining any ground. It looked at one point, the Rams were down, Seattle was down, Green Bay was down. Green Bay did end up losing in Denver. There was a point at halftime where if everything had held, the Niners could have been the 1 seed by the end of the afternoon today.
Right.
But Seattle and the Rams wind up winning. Now, they play each other. All attention on Thursday night football up in Seattle. One of those teams obviously is probably going to take a loss. Of course, you could have a tie, but one of those teams probably going to lose. And I think at this point, I feel like this point, you want the 1 seed, but you play the Seahawks coming down the stretch. I don't know who you guys rooting for in that one, I guess would be the question. Is it better to have Seattle take the L and then you hand them another one and maybe you move up to 5?
I'd rather Seattle win because then the Niners control all of their own destiny. Then no matter what, then they're responsible for where
they get
they
knock
end
the
up.
Rams down and then they can beat Seattle and then they'll beat them twice and they can.
Plus, think about how fun the juice will be for that Sunday game, Niners and the Seahawks, Week 18 from Levi Stadium. If they've got the same record, or if one team's a game behind the other in the loss column, that could be a blast in terms of determining who wins the division. Especially, they'd be 1-1 then if Seattle beat the Rams. They'd be 1-1 against each other. The Niners would be 1-1 against the Rams, and you'd be looking to have to sweep Seattle to win the division to bookend the year. That would be, just for the storyline of it, it would be a blast. Plus, those are the kind of lights you want to see this Niner team play under, right? You want to see them play on the biggest stage with something on the line, with a lot of inexperience in the playoffs on this roster before you actually get to the postseason.
Well, and this Thursday night is going to be rocking in Seattle. It's going to be fun to watch. And 2 teams, you never root for injuries, but you asked, what would you like to see the outcome? There's a bunch of injuries for both teams, so the Niners can clinch that 1 seed and a first-round bye and home field advantage.
I feel better that the former players the one saying
that's Todd Husak.
That's Todd Husak, everybody. We'll get his email out to you next.
Not bad injuries, just maybe out a month.
Maybe
How's
a
that?
tweak here or there, right? A hangnail or something. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak, John Dickinson with you. The Niners win at 37-24. We got your difference maker coming up next. Excuse me, our play. What do we got, Tim? Coming up next. Something else. Some other
the drive of the game, Coach.
Drive of the game. There we go. It's sponsored, so I'll tell you about that when we come on back live from Levi Stadium. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak, John Dickinson on the Sports Leader.
Out of the shotgun, he takes the snap on 3rd and goal. Purdy under pressure, jump throw! Kittle's got it! Touchdown! Touchdown! 49ers! What a play! From midair, Purdy off both feet, suspended in the air as he throws it to Kittle in the back of the end zone.
I want to say that's the second time Purdy's completed a pass like that this year, where he just jumps into the air and hurls it. This one rolling to his left, defense bearing down on him, and he hurls it to the back of the end zone for a 1-yard grab to George Kittle. That put the Niners up 31-10, and at that point, I think we all felt pretty damn good about how this one was going after they opened the second half with back-to-back scoring drives. That capped a 15-play, 95-yard touchdown drive in Brock Purdy's 3rd touchdown pass of the afternoon. And we'll make that the drive of the game, sponsored by El Cerrito Honda. More than just a car dealership, we're family. Todd, for you, what was the turning point in this game, or was there one?
I thought the first 2 series where the 49ers come out, force a 3-and-out, force a punt, and then just drive down the field and establish
12 plays, 70 yards.
This is going to be our game. I thought early on they showed who the better team is. And Brock Purdy, we talk so much about his accuracy and how good he is at making decisions and making quick decisions and the right decisions, but today his athleticism showed up, and not just in the rushing yards for 44 yards on 7 carries, but throwing on the run. He made some exceptional throws on the run, put it right where it had to be. He was sharp from the get-go, and the offense took charge of the game from the first drive and really didn't let up until halfway through the second half.
I'm a Purdy guy, and I have been since early in his tenure, before I really started to believe. It did take me a bit. I was believing in him by the time they got to the NFC Championship. I just couldn't believe, and I think everybody couldn't, that we were getting this type of production from the last pick of the draft. I was really impressed with what Mac Jones was able to do in limited tutelage under Kyle Shanahan. But when you see what Brock did today, and I think if he was, let's say he was 80% when he came back from the turf toe, today he played looking like he was 95 to 100%. Like, he looked as healthy as he's looked all season without any rust, which you get week 1. He threw 2 picks week 1. He was as accurate today as he's been all season. And again, 3 of the last 4 games, 3 of the 4 since he's returned, over a 70% completion percentage. And the one that he didn't, he still beat the Browns a couple of weeks ago, and only got sacked once by that vaunted defensive line.
Well, a lot of those were throwaways, so it was the right decision.
It was pressure.
He took the throwaway, and which hurts his completion percentage, but the right decision, and obviously did enough offensively to win that game.
Niners win at 37-24. We'll get you our final thoughts on this one when we come on back from Levi Stadium. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak. Niners are 10-4 and looking towards the postseason on the Sports Leader.
Purdy is in the shotgun. He's got McCaffrey to his right. He takes the snap, looks to throw, steps up, pumps, throws to the front of the end zone, and it's caught again. Juwan Jennings with a 49ers touchdown.
That's Juwan Jennings just saying, I'm longer and I am bigger than the nickel corner, Kevin Winston.
That first touchdown of the game is what Todd was talking about, the turning point in the game where they forced a 3-and-out, the punt for the Titans early, and then they go 12 plays, 70 yards. Their second drive, they go 7 plays, 70 yards, both ending in a touchdown. That first one for Juwan Jennings, again, 6 touchdowns for him in his last 6 games, and he's got 5 touchdowns in his last 4 games. I think was the number there, or 4 in his last, I think it's 5 in his last 4 games or something like that. So he had 2 today for Juwan Jennings. We're going to make that the call of the game. And I will get you that sponsor in just a minute. Adam Copeland, Todd Husak with you here live from Levi Stadium, where the Niners win it 37-24 over the Tennessee Titans. That call of the game is, in fact, sponsored by Merit America. This super opportunity is brought to you by Merit America. Go to meritamerica.org/super and sign up now. Todd, just a final thought on this one. I mean, it's as good as advertised for the Niners here at 10-4 without knowing anything that had happened this season. If you told me 10-4 in the final 3 with where they're sitting, I'd say, damn, the NFC West has been really good this year, and we thought it might be. But they for the most part, control they do control their road to the playoffs. They just don't know what seed they're going to be in. If they went out at the very worst, they'll be the 5 seed.
Amazing season, and obviously there's still some games to play, but what they've overcome and I think the job that the coaching staff has done cannot be undersold. They've kept this thing together, kept the team together with injuries, not just to 2 of their best defensive players, but Brock Purdy misses half the season, and Juwan Jennings has been out, and Ricky Pearsall's been out, and George Kittle. I mean, outside of McCaffrey, most of their star players have missed a significant amount of time, and Trent Williams. But I think the fact that they've kept it together, put themselves in a position, and now finish strong. It's right out there in front of them, and it's going to be a Colts team that looked unbeatable for the first 2 months of the season. They have encountered some hiccups, and now they got Phillip Rivers coming in, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, Monday Night Football next week. It's not going to be easy. I mean, Phillip Rivers is going to have a full week and a half of practice under his belt to learn some plays.
4 days or whatever.
Exactly, to get better, and it'll be a challenge. This is still a good defensive team. They almost beat. They very easily could have beaten the Seattle Seahawks today, who I think is one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the NFL. So the 49ers have to be as good as they were offensively today. They have to be better on defense. Special teams has been awesome. It's going to be a challenge, but it's out there.
Adam Copeland, Todd Husak with you. The Niners win at 37-24. We'll be back with you, myself and John Dickinson, next Monday, a week from tomorrow, at 2 o'clock for the Niners and the Indianapolis Colts, where they will see Phillip Rivers. I'll be back with you tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Derek Papa on Dirty Work, talking about this one and what the implications are for the 49ers in the final 3 weeks of the season. But looks like we are playing in to January. Big thanks to our guys back at the KMBR studios, Kyle Haar, who ran the game for us today in the postgame, Danny Dunn, who ran the pregame and part of the game today. Thanks to Chips McCarthy, always doing a great job getting those cuts for us, as well as Anthony Garcia. Thanks to JD and Krueger, who stopped by today, and of course our producer, Tim Webb, and thinking about our friend and our partner, Tracy Sandler, who should be back with us in a couple of weeks when the Niners take on the Bears on Sunday Night Football. Todd, I'll see you in a couple of weeks, man. Have a great Christmas.
Love it. 10-4.
10-4, dude. Let's look at 11-4 potentially coming home to see the Bears. We are going to hand it over, I believe, to the rest of the Sunday Night Football game, the Minnesota Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys. 17-14 Vikings right now, as the Cowboys just tied it up when I said that. 17-17, getting ready to head to the half. The sports continue. The Niners beat the Tennessee Titans 37-24, only here on The Sports Leader.